Okay, so our project is about the dangers of nicotine and weapons in school and how they affect small towns. Just a small event can affect a small town hugely. I mean, like several people or hundreds of people can be affected by it. Our two main topics that we're going to be looking at are nicotine and weapons, and I believe Mr. Hiley has some facts for us.
Yeah, so here, the problem is that from 2017 to the end of 2018, we experienced a huge increase in the amount of people or teens that were vaping. The use of middle schoolers and high schoolers that reported using nicotine products in the past 30 days rose from 1.5 million to 3.6 million people and is still increasing in 2019. And that is just the people that came out and confessed that they used the nicotine products. So I'm sure there's even more than that didn't confess. We also took a poll with our high school on Instagram, and out of the 189 students that voted, 83% of them either knew someone or themselves did use a nicotine product just inside of the school, and that's not even including the people that do it outside of school. On top of all that, on average, each year there are 480,000 premature deaths due to nicotine, and that's more than 1,300 per day. Also, people who regularly consume nicotine and then suddenly stop experience withdrawal symptoms, which may include cravings, anxiety, depression, moodiness, and irritability, and a lack of focus. So here we have Mr. McMurray that would like to give a few words to.
Yeah, so basically, as we can tell from all of Mr. Hiley's statistics, juuling is extremely bad for you. It's very toxic, and it affects young people's brains very poorly because there's so much nicotine in each pod and a Juul or whatever it is. Talking to someone about their Juul use is the best way to help them stop, and it helps them get off their addiction to nicotine and save money. And getting off of a nicotine addiction can be very difficult. I've personally seen people try to do it, how it can make them shake, and it's just extremely unhealthy. And kids should try not to get rid of their nicotine addiction and stop using vapes and Juuls and etc.
So the big problem with this is we have a small town, right? We have groups of friends, small groups of friends, and as a nicotine product comes to groups of friends, it spreads across that group. Next thing you know, it spreads to another group. Next thing you know, the whole high school is using them. As we can see, 83% are admitting to using them on school property.
Right.
The next big issue that we are talking about is weapons on school property. Kids that get caught with weapons or weapon look-alikes, as we've seen happen here a few times, must be reported to the school district, which then must report to the state, which then must report to the U.S. Department of Education. They do that so that they can detect trends, and policymakers can see increases or decreases in those stats.
Right.
In the past 1,870 days, there have been 1,624 shootings. So, as you can imagine, that's
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of mass shootings, and very frequently. And within a year, there were at least 1,576 times that a firearm was brought to school, and that's not even a look-alike, that's actually a real one. And also, living in this small town, we might not think that, this won't happen. We might think that, this won't happen to us. Why would a small town like this experience a mass shooting? But this year alone, Salina had 2 altercations with gun lookalikes, and I mean, that's just another example of how it could easily happen to us.
Yeah, and we don't even have a number for how many students get caught with gun lookalikes or things that might possibly threaten to shoot or harm somebody. There have been multiple times where there's been threats in Salina and just small areas around us where they've had bomb threats or death threats or making hit lists and whatnot. There was one example recently where a student was making a project to make a tribute to veterans, and the student had a Nerf gun with some boots and other stuff to try to show his respect for the veterans. And Salina schools did not tolerate this, and obviously got him in trouble for bringing in the Nerf gun that was included with his project. And Salina schools refused to apologize after suspending him. And then we also had another altercation when a student took a picture of an air gun and made a threat to a group of students. The act was meant as a joke, but in this day and age, those acts cannot be taken lightly because it can cause panic and cause people to not come to school because they think they're going to get shot. Both of these students violated, obviously, the rules on guns in schools. Our Salina Senior High School handbook actually states that a student shall not possess, use, transmit, conceal, or handle any object which might be considered a dangerous weapon or instrument that could cause injury or damage. These include, but are not limited to, smoke bombs, fireworks, firearms, lighters, and anything that might look like a weapon. So if it isn't a gun, but it looks like a gun, you're still not allowed to have it because it can induce panic. And this just shows that, violent acts are everywhere, and weapons and guns, most people have them. And even in small towns like Salina and towns around us, it is a life-threatening event that can be anywhere and should not be taken lightly, even if it just is a small town.
So relating, these stories and stats back to our idea here is that, in a small town, everybody knows everybody, right? You walk down the street, 90% of the people that drive by you. So when one person is singled out or they make a mistake with bringing a weapon, they get caught with, or they get suspended from nicotine products from school, rumors spread, town starts viewing you differently, everybody starts viewing you differently. It just kind of destroys, someone's reputation, and that's obviously not what you want to happen. So that concludes our project. Thank you for watching, and
have a good day.
See ya.